The other things that I started realizing myself personally was that I started wanting to give back on my own just through, getting the right assistance. It wasn't even that a certain, program had to be in place except other than this college program. It was just once people started teaching me what it was like to give back and really try to change, that's when I started to make that drastic change. So just to give substance to that.
Points about the media. Human interest stories will drive the media almost more than anything else. It's amazing. So we need to be telling your story.
Richard, can I jump in a second?
Sure, of course.
Just to be clear, everyone on this panel is in agreement about all children and all crimes. We would not treat a 16 and 17-year-old that had committed a violent felony differently than we treated a young person, 16 and 17, that committed a misdemeanor. We would want to make sure that they are recognized as adolescents, and that whether they're incarcerated or not, that it's developmentally appropriate. So we would not make that distinction on this panel.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Serena Ligori with Her Story Writers, and two comments. One, we often talk about how you cannot persuade, you can argue with a policy or a conviction, but you can't argue with a personal story. And we work with young men and women to write those stories, and you'll see them. But my other comment is really, we are based in Long Island, and as we know, some of our legislators who have a lot of influence are on Long Island, and yet we remain one of the most segregated areas. Our constituents, legislators' constituents on Long Island are not addressed. They very rarely even understand what this issue is. And so we really need support from upstate, from the city, to really bring this to legislators, because they say it's not happening in my backyard.
Exactly right. And we need a central repository of talking points, information, data, etc. You have a question?
So on the point of diversion, does the
Would you take the mic, please, and just identify yourself?
my name is Kenji Ree from Center for New Leadership. On the point of diversion, there are things going on right now that we can piggyback off of, just in terms of the 75% that you pointed out, just the outcome, just as is right now, as it operates. They're coming out with ACD, right? Which is ACD or non-criminal convictions or violations. Vast majority of them are right now. So when you talk about intervention, we have kind of, I think, a bit of a myth about the court system being the only kind of intervention. If you really wanted to have a successful intervention with the vast majority of the low-level arrests happening, there's an example that's happening right now that probation has done with the neons and the real kind of wholesale community engagement partnership that's genuine and not just programmatic, but in the indigenous communities. So neons are community-based probation offices. And so it's been a wholesale innovative approach by probation officers by virtue of being located in the community and how they engage. So if we were to push that, we can't. Right now, probation is doing a lot in terms of adjustment. There's, in light of the juvenile justice reform that we have been able to effect, we could push that to the front end. So when we say raise the age should entail diversion strategies, it must, because you're going to divert a wholesale group of young people out where you could focus resources the way you talked about, kind of starting points of a short list of targeted points. So there is, and we could move it to the front with on the police end, in terms of in-station house adjustments that you've seen that could be a little bit more robust. So there's stuff happening that we could implement.
So let me comment on the comment. So a lot of people that oppose this will say just what you just said, the former part of your statement, which is, well, a vast number of the 75% of misdemeanors are getting ACD'd or YO'd, so what's the big deal? They're not getting a permanent record, there's no harm, no foul.
What I said.
What?
I'm not saying that that's...
All right, even if you didn't say it, a lot of people do say to this, people that oppose this, what's the big deal? They're already getting ACDs for YOs. So let me just give you what I say about that, and it's what I went back to earlier. The beauty in my mind of this whole proposition is that we have a portal into these kids, a way into these kids early in their careers in which we stand based on the data and the results we know about. A very high likelihood of successfully intervening in their lives and maybe even expanding that help because of all the interagency work that's now being done. just simply giving a 16 or 17-year-old an ACD or a YO does not accomplish that. What it does do is it virtually guarantees that that person will be back at some point, perhaps with a more serious offense, perhaps this time not ACD eligible, and perhaps this time not even diversion eligible. So for those that say to you, well, they're getting ACDs already, say, yeah, that's true, but that's really part of the problem. We need to help these kids, not simply delay the problem.
All right, I have jump in here real quick. The last 4 comments were very interesting. The comment Diane made about restorative justice, then Hernan speaking about his experience, Serena talking about Long Island and KJ. Because what they all speak about are a variety of challenges and a variety of opportunities to address this issue, right? Oftentimes when you talk about legislation, you're just talking about a certain group. Legislation is critically important, right? You need that to get the change. But you need a variety of people that are playing a role in informing this legislation. You need youth who actually went through the experience. You need new models of restorative justice at the table. You need to hear from folks in particular localities that have specific challenges. You need to hear from the different system players who've now created innovative models. You need all of that to be a part of the conversation to really create a model that is new and innovative, right? A lot of folks have raised the age, but can you do it in a way that's progressive and put New York ahead of the curve instead of catching up to the curve? And those last 4 comments really speak about opportunities and important pieces of the puzzle to do this.
Okay.